Friendslop. It's a term for games. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you think I'm talking about some sort of communal porridge eating situation. And although that does sound kind of tight, that's not what we're gonna be talking about today. I'm talking about this kind of Friendslop.
I have some,
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god.
Please
Oh,
don't.
no.
Peter, please.
Stop.
Oh my god!
It's enough if he just gets it on there.
So they're like co-op games? No. Well, yeah, they are. Let me explain. If we take a look at the most trusted source of information on the internet, Urban Dictionary, they define it as such. Friendslop is a humorous and derogatory slang term describing video games primarily meant to be played together with friends. So going off of that, you can start to understand what type of games we're going to be talking about. Initially coined by the internet user Woosa, we've got games like REPO, Lethal Company, and content warning. I think I've only ever seen content warning referred to as like, this is Friendslop, but like, I don't think I've ever actually seen someone playing this game. I don't know what you do. Anyways, games where you play cooperatively with your friends as you're put into scary situations and you all scream into the voice chat as you get chased around by some sort of scary monster guy or like an old man with a gun cane, where the entire purpose of the game is, and I quote, friend farming. A lot of the enjoyment of these games comes from the use of the in-game VoIP or voice chat with its proximity feature. So for example, if you and I are playing together and I walk away into that room over there, you're not gonna be able to hear me very well. This form of communication, as opposed to a group of friends sitting in a Discord call together, makes for some incredibly silly and entertaining shorts content for those streamer folks out there.
Oh shit, the American!
No, I laughed.
Now, obviously, Wusa was joking around here and was poking fun at the newish trend of slapping the suffix slop onto anything that internet people deem not based. But it does make me wonder what exactly would define a game as being considered Friendslop as opposed to a deep, emotional, and incredibly interactive cooperative experience. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. What makes a game Friendslop and what makes a game a friend gem. This is hands down the stupidest video I've made yet. When you think of Friendslop, you're likely to think of the newer wave of these cooperative horror titles like the 3 games that I had mentioned previously, but if we go back even further, we can see that Friendslop has been around for a very long time, and it all started back in 1958 with the release of Tennis for Two. Okay, maybe we're going back a little too far. If we're thinking of Friendslop in the framework of a video game experience that has the player doing repeatable actions without ever really achieving any sort of end game in a written story sense, I know that's a lot of defining, but hear me out. One of the earliest examples that I can think of would be Gary's Mod. And before I go any further, I must reiterate that this is all for fun. This doesn't mean anything. It's a video on 2 stupid terms I saw on Twitter, and I'm just throwing where I think it would belong in my criteria. So if you disagree, go down to the comments, type something mean about me. Say that I smell bad. Say that I'm wrong. I don't fucking care, man. Gary's Mod is a game in which I've spent a vast amount of time in as a teenager when I played an ungodly amount of Dark RP, TTT, and Prop Hunt, and it has all the elements of what I would consider to be a Friendslop title. It has VoIP, it has no true end goal that isn't self-imposed, and it's always better with friends. Friendslop is like a big pot of stew, or maybe a big pot of slop would be a more fitting way to describe it. But you can't make a big old pot of slop without a bunch of tasty ingredients. And in this case, those ingredients, they'd be your friends. The better the friends, the better the ingredients, the better the slop. Let me explain. A very important part of these Friendslop titles is cooperation with other players in the game. So you know what makes these titles like 10 times less enjoyable when you aren't playing them with friends. A few years back, there was a little game that I played a couple of times that you might have heard of. It's just this little indie game called Among Us. Super underground. Low-key game though. It was probably just me and my friends that played it. I don't know. Did you ever play Among Us with a group of people that you didn't know very well? Or like maybe at all? Maybe they were some friends of friends and you were just invited in order to flesh out the amount of people in the lobby a little more? Dude, it sucked. Everyone is so cool and they all know each other. They have these funny little inside jokes that they just won't stop jacking each other off about. I wanna know. I wanna be in on the joke as well. I think that the group of friends interacting in a game is really all it takes to get in this subcategory of games. I don't really think that the horror is the defining part of these titles. I think it just makes for funny and intense gameplay moments, which is perfectly defined by my next pick, the Left 4 Dead series. If we're going based off of my standards for a Friendslop title, then Left 4 Dead absolutely fits the bill. The game was literally built around playing with friends over the internet, voice chatting your way through zombie-infested levels. And if you think about it, minus the killing zombies aspect, the core loop of Left 4 Dead is pretty close to these REPO, Lethal Company type games. You hop into a lobby with friends, gear up in the safe room, make your way through the map, and then move on to the next zone. Rinse and repeat. And that isn't a bad thing. I love Left 4 Dead. I've spent hours playing the game both locally and over the internet with friends. But based on my own personal way of defining Friendslop titles, would Left 4 Dead not fit perfectly in the category? Because if this isn't under the same umbrella as the previous titles, then my brother in Christ, you may be hitting that Fent cart a little bit too hard. It's not just Left 4 Dead either. Like, this list of these types of games goes on. We have games like Deep Rock Galactic, Phasmophobia. Having covered how I would personally classify these Friendslop games, let's start by looking at the other form of cooperative video games. A friendgem is everything that Friendslop is not. Not really, but there are definitely some distinct differences between the two subcategories that we can look at. If we go off of the belief that Friendslop titles are quick, easy games that you play with pals, friendgems would also be games that you play with your homies, minus being quick and easy. We're talking games like Baldurs Gate 3, It Takes Two, Portal 2, detailed, interactive storytelling experiences that you and the boys gotta lock in to get through. These games are often the ones in which we, as video game connoisseurs, walk away from saying things like, "Oh, cinema, pog, now that was epic." That was a little painful to do. I find myself lacking the time to play video games at all these days. While trying to divide my time amongst work, life, and a little bit of sleep, epic gamer moments usually sit on the back burner. So being able to get two birds stoned at once by playing through an epic story with a pal seems like a great idea, which it is, in theory. Having a double mutual gamer moment with a homie is one of the best experiences that you can have in gaming. But oh man, is it nearly impossible to orchestrate one of these playthroughs. Maybe it's just me, but every time I pop the old, should we do a Baldurs Gate 3 playthrough together with one of my friends, they just hit me with that fluoride stare. You'd think that I'd just ask them if they'd want to slam our skulls together as hard as possible 30 times in a row, and they'd probably still be more likely to do that at the end of the day. I'm a busy man. I have really important things to take care of, like all the time. But I'll always make time for a little bro-on-bro gamer moment. Even if you do manage to scrounge together a group of pals who'd want to play something, you then have to work around every person's individual schedule, which is really hard when one homie works the night shift, one works a 9 to 5, and the other is blissfully unemployed. If Friendslop can be compared to a delicious, cheesy Pizza Hut pie, then you could relate a friendgem to a magnificent filet mignon dinner. Are both delicious in their own right? Absolutely. But I'm not gonna be slurping down slices at a fancy dinner for my son's 12th birthday. Ever again. or whining and dining fancy style at the local Charles Entertainment Cheese. Sometimes you don't want to hop into a 100+ hour deeply detailed campaign where you and a friend must focus intently on all the nitty-gritty details of the story, because a mother like me needs to know the lore. I gotta pay attention. If I miss a line in a character's monologue, I will go back to reload a save and hear it again. And it will piss you off. Yes, it will. Sometimes you just want to turn your brain off. Maybe blast some tunes and shoot the shit with your pals while putting the smack down on some damn walkers. Or sometimes you just want to hop into a repo lobby and go crazy mode, laughing yourself to tears with your pals while you get into some crazy hijinks. When you do manage to find the sliver of time in your ever-filling schedule to experience a game like Split Fiction or It Takes Two with a close friend or loved one, you'll be walking away from that experience as a changed man. If you're a man, that is. Because if you're a baby and you're watching this video, then what the hell are you doing? Take your ass back to Cocomelon. Because we clown in this bit. Am I trying to say that Friendslop is inherently bad and friend gems are inherently good? What are you, friggin' stupid? No. All I'm trying to say to you fine folks at home is that there is a time and a place for both friend-based gaming formulas. You hear people complain about this all the time, but it's true. The way in which the gaming industry has pivoted away from couch co-op being built into games is like the stupidest idea ever. Who doesn't like couch co-op? I understand that companies are focusing their resources on implementing online matchmaking to their games first and foremost, but you could do both. I grew up on Xbox 360, but my cousin Aiden had a PS3, and one of the coolest things about it, besides the free online play, was being able to jump into Call of Duty Black Ops lobbies in split screen with player 2 on a guest account. That shit was tight. It combined two of the best things to happen to gaming, multiplayer and split screen co-op. And you wouldn't even have to worry about screen peeking because you and your homie were poning the noobs together. Looking back on my most memorable experiences playing video games with friends, the majority of the fun that I had experienced were through quick match-based multiplayer games like COD and Halo. But if you're going based off of my prior system of measuring the spectrum of gem to slop, these games would definitely be more slop leaning, and that's okay. Video games are a medium for you to imprint your own experiences onto. I can look back on playing games like COD so positively, not just because the gameplay was fun, but also because of the experiences surrounding these gaming sessions. Halo LAN parties with friends, funny memories made through absurd situations in Dark RP on Gmod, and deep conversations about life unexpectedly happening in a Minecraft server that I had made for my friends that we played on for a week only to never touch it again. I know that's like the meme, like we're gonna always go back to Minecraft, but you go back to it and play for a week and have the best time of your life and then don't touch it for 3 years or whatever. I know that's the joke, but the worst part about that was I was always the guy that had to port forward the server. We didn't use Hamachi, I remember as like a 13-year-old having to do that, and that was a fucking pain in the ass. Don't ever make me make a Minecraft server again. Don't ask me to port forward ever again, unless we're gonna devote our life to it and build the Taj Mahal or some shit. A lot of the time, the memorable parts of these games aren't the games themselves. It's the experiences and memories that you made playing these games with your friends. And not having to lock in to a huge campaign makes having these little memorable moments a lot easier. Because I'm sorry, bro, but I don't want to hear about your shitty day at work right now. We're in the middle of fighting Ketheric Thorm on honor mode. I need you to focus, brother. I'm gonna be honest here. I really just made this video because I wanted to use the terms Friendslop and friendgem in a video. I saw this specific tweet where people were flying off the walls trying to define the difference between Friendslop and friendgems, and I just thought it was kind of funny. Let me know what your favorite Friendslop and friendgems are. Do you agree or disagree with my classification criteria for these subgenres? Make sure to quickscope that subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram and Twitch. Who knows? Maybe I'll be streaming your favorite Friendslop title. Guess you'll have to come by and see. Thank you for watching.